Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Ita, I-T-A, it's my Starbucks name. Full name is Itamar, but nobody ever remembers it. And I'm the co-founder and CEO of Veho. And before we get started, I have a question here. Can you raise your hand? So if you're a shipper, can you raise your hand, just so we get an understanding? Quite a few shippers in the room, great. So the topic of today's discussion is how to build agile and flexible operations for customer lifetime value. And we submitted this question 6 months ago to Parcel, and I'm really glad to have the opportunity here. But I'll be honest with you, I think it's the wrong question to ask. I think the right question to ask is, how do we maximize our return on shipping? You think about shipping as a huge spend. Usually for shippers, it's a second largest cost item on their P&L. There's a conversation about cost. Cost matters a lot. It's only part of the equation. What about the value you're getting out of shipping? And how can you measure that value? And how can you utilize insights from the market, from what consumers say, from what brands do, from our learnings at Veho to be able to start going in that direction to truly maximize your return on shipping? We're going to talk about flexible operations a little bit, but for the most part, we're going to talk about a change in mindset in shipping from cost center to a value center in today's conversation. So just a few housekeeping stuff. I have to do this. Please rate this suggestion 5 stars. You don't have to. Hopefully, and the second is post best tips on the Parcel app if you'd like to. We would welcome that. So I want to tell you the story of how I started Veho, and this was 8 years ago. And I was going to business school at the time. I was walking into my building one day, and I saw this on the door. I'm sure several of you have seen this before. These are sticky notes from UPS and FedEx. I've had a lot of issues with those, not being able to get packages. And one day, as I was walking down the stairs, I saw this, and you may not be able to see it all the way in the back, but it says, anyone who took package from apartment 1203, please return it. And then another person says, also 1101, and also 609, and 408, and whatever. This was a real problem. Getting packages delivered was a real problem, and being able to be in control over that problem as a consumer was completely impossible. So yeah, that got me really intrigued. And I came here to the Parcel conference in 2016 to learn about this issue. There was no business, there was no Veho. I was walking around the booth here, and I was going into these sessions like the one that we're having right now. And 60–70% of the stuff people were talking about was how to negotiate better rates with FedEx and UPS. There was also a really interesting conversation about how to get better insurance, and there was some conversation about labor management. Nobody was talking about customer experience, and I was really intrigued. So I said, well, let's figure out how to solve this problem. And the next thing I did, September 1st, 2016, the day that changed my life, is I decided to sign up as a delivery driver. There was a company in the East Coast called Eastern Connections. They don't exist anymore. It's a regional company. The Veho logo is orange because when I showed up the first day, they gave me an orange short. And it's like, wear this. And they gave me a manifest, a paper manifest with all the addresses. There was no app. There was no technology. It wasn't even sequenced. And they said, go and deliver. Good luck. So I started delivering those packages and texting customers from my phone. Hey, I'm Ita. I'm on the way to your door. Would you like to reroute the package? Would you like to give me instructions? And really started to learn all the issues that happen that make it very, very difficult to get to a high on-time delivery rate, which is the key to solving customer problems. 8 years later, I'm still delivering those packages. And everybody at Veho does, because one of our leadership principles is boots on the ground. Be out there, deliver packages, talk to customers, understand the pain points so you can solve those pain points. And before we go and talk about what the Veho does and what our learnings are and what you as shippers can do in order to really elevate the way you think about shipping from a cost center to a value center, I'll just give you a sense of the scale. Today, we are the second largest regional shipping player in the country. We cover a third of the US population. You can see our network right here. It's really 6 regions that we cover today. Some numbers around us. Our on-time delivery rate is over 99% on time. Every customer gets to rate the service. We're growing very fast. We have over 67,000 driver partners on our platform, and we are in 44 US cities and growing. So that's where Veho is today. But let's talk about the key insights for today's presentation. And if you take away 3 things from today's conversation, these are the things that I would recommend you take away. The first one is that there is a gap in the market between what consumers want and what most brands offer. And our job is to figure out how to close that gap, not just by throwing money at the problem, but doing it wisely so we're maximizing the return on shipping spend. Second is you can take concrete actions today to start closing that gap. And what I'm going to give you later in the conversation is 5 things you can start doing today in order to move in that right direction, capitalizing on some of the insights that we'll share with you, data from independent research as well as from our own data, communicating with customers and millions of customer reviews. And the third thing I'm going to do is the thing that I've been talking about since the first minute of this conversation, which is the key is to treat shipping as a value center, not just a cost center. And one of the things we're going to reveal today is we're launching a new return on shipping calculator. And we're going to go through an example of how to think about all the moving pieces in shipping and how to derive some value out of it so you can actually make apples to apples comparisons between different shipping providers and make the best decision for you. So in terms of the agenda for today's conversation, we're going to walk through those 4 things. I'll give you a quick overview of Veho, who we are, why we exist, what we do. It's important not because it's marketing, but also because I think it's important for all of us here to sort of like understand how we're able to come up with these insights that then inform the way we think about return on shipping. So we'll talk about those insights from independent research, from our own millions of customer reviews, and from some of the brands that we serve. And then what can we do in order to start implementing those insights to maximize return on shipping? My hope is we're going to have some time for Q&A. And if I run too late, Evan there is going to start waving at me like, hey, let's go to Q&A. So thank you, Evan. Okay. Everybody ready? Ready? Okay. Let's talk about Veho. Welcome to Veho. Veho is not about packages. It's about people. It's about customers. It's about incredible customer experience that make customers want to fall in love with your brand and come back and buy again. That's why I started this company, because I love buying online. And not receiving a package or having issues with receiving a package is not only a pain in the butt, it is also one of the big reasons why people don't come and buy again. And Veho is here to solve this. Our mission is to power the future of commerce by making shopping, shipping, and returns work seamlessly for everybody. And if there's one slide that explains what we do as a company, I think this is the one that captures it. Think about Amazon for a second. Who buys here on Amazon? Who's an Amazon customer? Raise your hand for a second. Okay. That's pretty much everybody. When you buy on Amazon, you're in the Amazon store. Nowadays, more and more so, you also receive the package from Amazon and the Amazon driver. And if you have the Amazon Prime app, you're able to see where the driver is on the road. You're able to communicate. The driver would send you a message, something like, if there's a dog, please carve your dog. You can leave instructions. If there's any issue, you can communicate with customer support in real time. They solve you the problem on the spot. Sometimes they give you a refund before you even ask for it. And they can really easily return it to the UPS store. You don't even have to print the label. You can return it in many cases. But why is Amazon doing all of this? Amazon is not some philanthropy company. They're doing this because shipping is a strategy to make the customer want to come back again. And it's a customer lifetime value strategy, which makes Prime extremely sticky. Because when you know when you place an order, it's going to arrive next day, it's going to be seamless, you can return it, no questions asked, and they're going to solve your problems on the fly, then usually you'll just buy and you're not even going to bother going somewhere else. And that's what Amazon is doing with shipping. Every other brand out there, and don't get me wrong, FedEx is an incredible company, but it was not designed for e-commerce brands. It was designed for the 20th century needs of B2B deliveries. So as soon as the brand ships the package, hand it over to FedEx or a legacy carrier, there's barely any communication with the customer, not to speak about giving customers control. And it's off-brand. And it's one of the biggest missed opportunities to engage the customer in that moment of truth and make the customer want to come back and buy again. So that's where Veho comes in. We level the playing field. We do it differently than Amazon. We don't have 1 million distribution centers all over the country. But we're obsessed with making sure that at every step of the process, the post-purchase experience, all the way they come back again, It's fast, reliable delivery, highest on-time delivery rate particularly for companies of our size, incredible communications, and we'll show you what that looks like. We even do the returns from the doorstep. And it's not just a nice to have. Now we're getting into return on shipping. We're A/B testing the results of this across many different functions for the brands that we serve. So whatever you're optimizing for, not as a shipping or logistics executive, as a marketeer, as a CEO, as a COO, as a CMO, whatever you're optimizing for in your brand, whether it's customer lifetime value or the frequency of purchases, or maybe it's about Net Promoter Score, we're doing A/B tests to help those brands really identify what is the impact that a better delivery experience has on those metrics versus legacy carriers. So conceptually, think about it as a zero-sum game versus a win-win game. Zero-sum game is there's a shipping budget. FedEx, UPS increase the rates 5-6% every year. You're trying to keep as much as possible for yourself. It's a fight. You have to engage a consultant. The consultant has better rates. There's this whole game that nobody wins except for those who increase the rates every year, because there's no significant innovation that creates more value for your business. Or there's a different way to think about this, is how do you think about all the levers in your business that shipping moves the needle on to increase your return on shipping? And that's where Veho is different. That's how we're thinking about return on shipping. So how does it work? We optimize for two metrics: on-time delivery, average customer rating. That's all we talk about all day long to make sure that we never miss the mark on those metrics. I'll walk you through how the operation works. I'll give you some examples of how we interact with the customer. And then let's go and talk about what we learned from research and how we apply that to what you can do to utilize Veho or companies like Veho, wherever you use, to maximize your return on shipping. So the way Veho works is very similar to legacy providers in the space from the logistics standpoint. It's not different. It's not Uber. You ship, if you're a brand, you ship from your warehouse. We have a network that allows us to pick it up, sort packages into last mile routes, and get them delivered, or do the return from the doorstep. Customer, wants to return something, they leave it outside their door, tap an app, we'll come bring it back to you. So that's the logistics. Now, where it gets interesting, and now I'm going to go a little into the flexible operation, which is the part of the topic for today's conversation, is the marketplace of crowdsourced drivers. Veho is different than legacy providers in this space because we don't have a fixed capacity. During the pandemic, as an example, everybody remembers this, it was really hard to find excess capacity, because if you're UPS or FedEx, you have the same number of trucks every day, your capacity is flat. But the problem is, not only during the pandemic, but also throughout the year, and particularly during peak, volume goes up really quickly. And that's where a lot of those companies cannot keep up with demand. SLA times slow down, customers don't get their stuff on time, they call customer service, they're angry, Net Promoter Score goes down, you have a huge refund spend. And how do you solve that? That's where the flexible operation comes in. Veho operates on an app, allows individuals to sign up with their personal vehicle. They go through background checks, orientation, make sure they're qualified to drive with us. Right? It's not just a Joe Schmo. But we're able to scale our capacity up and down depending on the demand. So on certain days of the week, we're going to have a lot more drivers than other days of the week. If there is a driver that didn't show up, there's immediately going to be a different driver to come. And what that allows us to do is deliver a very high on-time delivery rate. And all of that is powered by technology. So what you see here is what the driver partner app looks like. There are different routes on the platform. Every route drives to a different area in the city. It tells them pretty much how much it pays, what time it starts. If you have more room in your vehicle, you can add on more routes based on the vehicle space. We optimize everything, and it's an incredible experience for the driver. It's a win-win for everybody. It gives us the flexibility to support your operation and your needs and deliver over 99% on time. And third, the third piece of the operation is the customer experience. Veho communicates with end customers. Customers receive either text messages, or they can download our app, or they can go through our web interface to not only track the packages, but also take action, be in control. And they can leave instructions. Here's access to my backyard, front yard. Leave it with a neighbor, et cetera, which allows them to take control over their delivery and ultimately feel that this is a great experience. They give a high rating, and they love it. Let me give you an example how that works. So recently, we launched a feature called the perfect placement. So if you download the Veho mobile app and you have a delivery for us, you can then click a button and you can either take a photo of exactly where you want the package to be delivered, or you can upload a photo from your phone. So let's say you've had issues with delivery in your neighborhood, people leave the package, outside the gate, somebody steals it, or, it's visible from the street, you live on the street. You can take a photo, you can put a geolocation on the map, and then what the driver partner sees as they show up at the place is they see this photo pops up. And they're asked to take the same photo, and then you get to rate the service to give us feedback on that. AI is gonna do that for us over time. So here's one example of how with technology and focus on flexibility, we're able to significantly reduce missed deliveries to the wrong location or it's stolen, et cetera, et cetera. That's one of the keys to perform 99% on-time delivery and have a great customer satisfaction. So this is what Veho does in marketing, but also I think it's important to understand as we're going to go into the data that we learn in independent research and from our own millions of customer reviews. Time check, I think we're fine. Okay. So what have we learned? So we've conducted an independent research with a company called Incisive, and they spoke with 160 logistics leaders all across the United States. And they wanted to get some insight from them about what do customers want versus what brands actually offer, and see if there's a gap in the market among those two things. So a little bit of data. I don't think anybody here is going to be surprised when we say 90% of customers said that if they have a good delivery experience, they will repurchase from that brand. That's easy. And the same thing is, if you had a bad delivery experience, you're much less likely to buy. 65% will not consider ordering from a brand after a bad delivery experience. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter who you're using, FedEx, UPS, whoever you're using, it reflects on you as a brand if you did not deliver on time, and consumers are saying this. Despite all of that, what's amazing is that 67% of customers, 2/3 of customers, saying that they have seen no improvement in the delivery service, over the past year or so, even though it's that critical. So clearly, there is a mismatch between what they expect and how they buy and what brands are able to provide. A little more data. 79% of consumers say they want multiple delivery options. Only 7% of brands offer this. I actually think this is an underestimate. I think more brands offer it than 7% multiple delivery options, but there's a gap there for sure. Second is 90% of consumers want 2-day shipping. Most brands offer it today, but still there's a delta there. There's an opportunity to close that gap in the delta. It's not easy to do because it costs money, which is why we have to look at the return on shipping and see if you can justify that. 76% of consumers expect real-time updates and communication. And this is the most striking to me. It's not rocket science. Communicating with your customer is not rocket science. It takes intentionality and some technology. Only 18% of brands actually communicate with customers during the delivery. And 8% of brands offer ability for the customer to take control over their package. And one of the reasons is that if the customer reaches out to you, you really can't do anything about it. You don't tell the FedEx driver what to do or the UPS driver what to do. So there has to be a way for the consumer to communicate with a shipping partner in a way that allows the shipping partner to, follow those instructions and align incentives. They actually want to follow those instructions. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. Lastly, on external data, 93% of shippers say that scaling the last mile delivery operation is challenging. So this gap is a tough problem to solve. And 95% say that managing demand surcharges is challenging. So the peak season is also very difficult for everybody. So how do we start closing that gap? In conclusion, there's a gap in the market. We already talked about it. It's painful for everybody. It's painful for consumers. It's painful for brands. It's painful for even shipping partners who are not designed to support the flexibility and the communication that consumers need. What have we learned? Now that you understand what Veho is doing, what have we learned at Veho from millions of customer reviews? So first, just a reminder, Veho interacts with the end consumer not only they know what time the package is coming and the photo proof of delivery, but they're able to provide instructions and they're able to control their delivery. And I'm going to show you a few customer reviews. Don't take this as marketing per se, but try to understand the insight from the review. 4 things. First, we know that consumers are emotionally engaged with receiving their package. I buy something online, I don't get it. It's not just like, oh, they missed. It's upsetting. People are emotionally engaged. And when you deliver on expectations, when it's hard to do, they're going to appreciate this a lot. I'm so glad and thankful that your delivery person was mindful enough to follow my instructions. They gave us 10 out of 5, right? It is the moment of truth, which is actually the next point, which is when a customer receives the box and, the shipping partner follows those instructions, that doesn't reflect on the shipping partner. It reflects on you as a brand. And they are thankful to the brand. And that's why, to connect the dots, consumers who have a great delivery experience are more likely to come back and buy, again, from you, because we don't sell to consumers. What else? Transparency and communications preempts problems. I think that's straightforward. If you live in a building where, you have delivery issues, you would love to explain to the delivery partner how to get in, where to park the car, don't leave the package here, leave it there. If you're able to communicate, that preempts problems. So we all now know that the customers are telling us that, when they were able to communicate with a delivery driver, they're able to get the package their way, they were able to prevent theft. Happened to all of us. This is why I started this company. And it's a win-win. Customers really appreciate the proactive communications. In this case, the customer is pointing out, they got 2 messages, it allows us to follow all the instructions, etc. A lot of times they hear, we don't want to put too much pressure on customers with text messages. You can mitigate this. But customers appreciate to be in control and understand what's going on with their package. So that's what their expectations are right now. This is a case study we did with Saks Fifth Avenue. Bill is the director of transportation and logistics. And he was talking about how the flexibility allows them to manage their peak holiday. We talked about the flexibility earlier, the app, the driver partners, you can scale up and down demand. How the proactive communication drives faster problem resolution. We talked about that. How acting in real-time customer feedback. Hey, you left the package at the wrong place. Can we correct it in real time? That drives, business results for them. So that's one example. Another case study we did is with Tuckernuck, which is a growing apparel brand. And there, Carolyn, who's the director of operations, was talking about, the importance of the customer experience and how that reflects on their brand. So now we started to get into return on shipping because they were actually able to quantify the value of, delivering on time and avoiding mistakes and avoiding refunds and credits and customer complaints on their total shipping spend, 35% reduction. And also they particularly quantified the percentage of reduction in customer support calls. And it's all because of that direct communication. And don't just hear it from me, let's hear it from Carolyn.
We are really aware that our customers' expectations are shifting. And we really found that Veho was our best option in the market to give that customer that unparalleled experience. 3 main things that we've been able to achieve with our partnership with Veho, the first being faster delivery. We've also seen an average savings of 35% on our shipping spend when you compare that to our national carriers. The second area where we've seen increased success is a reduced number of customer support inquiries. We have noticed a decline in customer requests for tracking updates since we launched with Veho in April. And we feel this contributes to lower call center volume, which results in cost savings for us. The third area that we've seen improvement is just positive customer feedback. Customers have expressed high satisfaction with the shipping and delivery experience with Veho, and we've consistently seen a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars, praising Veho's speed, reliability, and communication. Seeing consistent positive feedback from our customers lets us know that we made the right decision adding Veho to our carrier mix.
Thank you, Carolyn. So how do we take all this information that we just shared today and start implementing this into some game plan that allows you all to start making progress on return on shipping? And what I want to talk about is 5 things that we can start doing today. It's not an easy process, so it's not going to happen overnight. If you're not already doing this, and some brands are already doing this, that will allow you to take control over your shipping spend and spend it wisely to maximize return. I'm going to double click on each one of those 5 steps. So the first one is really understand where you are today. So this is analyzing the data and analyzing external data, benchmarks. See where you are versus other brands that you look up to or your customer is considering to buy from, or your competitors. Number 2 is start measuring the return on shipping. And we're going to give a numerical example of a shipping calculator, return on shipping calculator, how you can start doing that. And our team is here if you want to consult with them on how you should do that. Regardless of Veho, we're happy to help you. We're here to help. 3 is critical point. Make sure that internal and external stakeholders are both aligned and incentivized around return on shipping. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I think that's probably the most important thing. If you take one thing away from this, you should think about that. 4th is all these learnings should apply to how do you choose shipping partners. Whether you choose Veho or somebody else, make sure you choose somebody who's aligned with what you're trying to achieve. And then how do you, as you build a partnership, what should you be focusing on to maximize the value of that partnership with the shipping partner? So let's double click on each one. Number 1 is getting crisp on where you are today, mapping out where you are today. A lot of times, many of us, when I say many of us, I mean brands, tend to look at on-time delivery in isolation or just like cost, shipping fees in isolation and not the full picture. What is the full picture? Here are a couple of examples. What are your customer support costs that are related to Wismo calls? What are your costs of defects? Package did not arrive on time. How much refunds and how many credits do you have to give back? How much does that cost you? As a percentage of number of packages that didn't get there on time. Checkout conversion. One of the things we talked about was consumers want more options. What is your conversion rate today? What can your conversion rate be if you had more shipping options and sell more? Now shipping is no longer a cost center. That's clearly a marketing objective. So you got to look at all those things and just understand where you are today. And also understand where you could be. So what consumers want, already shared with you, but understand your customers. Survey your customers. What do they want versus what you're offering today? Because most likely, if you're not offering it and they want it, they'll probably be able to find it somewhere else. It's that critical to understand what your customers want. What other brands are offering in the market, competitive analysis, and what is available for you to buy. We're not talking about costs. We're just talking about understanding where you are. That's step 1. Step 2 is start measuring your own return on shipping. So how much are you really paying? We'll go into this. All the line items that go into shipping, the fees, accessorials, but also customer complaints, defects, credits, etc. How much are you getting from it? We'll look at this in a minute. We'll do some analysis around how do you increase customer lifetime value or revenue or gross profit per customer, which I don't think a lot of people in logistics talk about, but that's probably the most important thing to talk about, gross profit per customer. And how much are you leaving on the table to understand that delta? Step number 3 is the most important thing, which is you got to make sure that the internal and external stakeholders are aligned. And here's the problem. The problem is that in logistics, on the brand side, if you're a VP logistics or a COO, a lot of times you have some target to meet cost. And that is the wrong target because you have to be thinking about how do you make your business more profitable. And sometimes if some company comes in, some shipping provider comes in with 5 cents cheaper on a package, it is a wrong decision because you may be missing out on $3 per package of value. So you have to make sure that you're aligned with the company objectives. And your shipping partner needs to be aligned with that as well. They need to understand what you're trying to optimize for. And you got to make sure that the way that people get paid there, the way the company measures themselves, is aligned with what you're trying to achieve. And evaluate them based on this. So I would say that's the most important thing. Align incentives, drive results. Number 4 is now we're going to take all that information, where you are, what you're trying to achieve, what your competitors are doing, what is your current return on shipping, where are your biggest gaps, and then have the conversation with different shipping partners. Hey, UPS, this is what I'm trying to achieve. How can you help me? Let's take a look at the numbers. Hey, FedEx, hey, VOA, OnTrack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Choose the shipping partner that has the capability to meet your needs around those levers that matter to you to maximize return on shipping. And it's really important to synthesize this. And lastly, as you choose your shipping partner, I cannot overemphasize how important this is to build a really strong partnership. Too often I see this as, we're going to spend money, you're going to pay you money, And if you're not doing well enough, we're going to move somewhere else. And it's like a one-way relationship. It's like, I'm going to be completely, I'm just going to take a look and measure your performance. That's not how it works. The way it works is that you work like partners. It's like marriage. What we've seen incredible success with is having regular touch points, once a week, once every other week, with a dedicated account manager who's able to understand what your business needs are. And we look at data together. Cold data, no judgment. How we're doing. And then we break down the problems. Was this an on-time delivery miss because of issues at our warehouse or drivers, or maybe we got the wrong boxes, or maybe the boxes arrived broken? Dissect and identify what exactly needs to be solved. We're talking about expansion roadmaps, technology roadmaps. What do you need? What are we not doing? What do you need? How can we help you maximize your return on shipping? Let's talk about what technology we can provide. Services, et cetera, et cetera. Also, I can't overemphasize, start planning peak early. When you have a shipping partner like that, give them visibility into what you need during peak to guarantee you're going to have the capacity ahead of time and you problem solve before problems even arise. So if you go and do those 5 things, I guarantee you're going to find a lot of interesting insights about where you are, what you're getting, and you probably have a better game plan to come back and really maximize your return on shipping. So the last thing I'm going to do is let's give a numerical example of how to quantify everything we said today into some calculator that gives you more visibility into where you are versus where you could be doing. Okay? So we're introducing the return on shipping ROS calculator, which does not really look like this, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. I don't think those exist anymore. We're going to do a breakdown in a second, but conceptually speaking, you build a sort of like dashboard for how your current partner is doing. This is a Veho example. You can take anybody else, but when you evaluate a partner, ask them for the data. Hey, what's not only your shipping fees, but let's talk about your loss, damages, and errors. And go and do reference calls. Talk with other shippers who already work with that company. So for Veho, you can talk with any of the folks that we showed here or others. Validate the data. Don't just take it to the face value. Validate the data so you can plug in your own numbers to compare apples to apples versus different companies. What's the call center complaint rate? Come up with a total spend. Not just the $5 million you're spending on rates, but everything that comes with it, the total spend, and then look at the savings. Where can you make savings? And then there's other things, which is on the customer lifetime value front. Let me actually get to that. Let's do an example. So let's say you spend $5 on a package, okay? Comparing 2 different types of companies, legacy versus more of customer-centric shipping partner. You certainly want to compare the fees, because that's actual money out of pocket you pay right away. You want to do that for sure. But you also want to compare the percentage of loss, damages, and errors. Then you want to talk about call center complaint rate. What percentage of your customers call the call center because they had an issue? How much does it cost per call? So example, if it costs $20 per person per hour, you have 4 calls per hour, you got 5 minutes, we're going to get there on time, then you want to do that as well. And all that comes back to total fee per package. You can see the delta. In this particular example, the savings is 10.77%. That's just one side of the equation. That's the cost side. But it is really important because a lot of folks just look at this, just this. And if they're a little more sophisticated, they're going to add the surcharges. But there's a lot more that goes into it, and you got to look at the full picture. The other side of the equation is the value. Not just the savings, but the value. So let's take a look at this example. Let's say that your customer buys on average 8 times per year, and they spend $60. And the net promoter score from that customer is 7 out of 10. So this is something that you may want to get references from other brands that work with the shipping partner, or you may want to run a low scale test for this. But can you measure the number of purchases that this customer is going to make with a more customer-centric shipping provider? What is the average order value? There's a little more that you have to believe here, so you got to do some references and some assumptions. But what I'm giving you is a sense of how to quantify all that into gross profit per customer and gross profit per box. So look, if you can save 10 cents on the package, that's amazing. But if you can make $5 more on the package, that's far more amazing. And that is the thing that has been missing from the shipping and logistics conversation. So that's the full picture of return on shipping. Again, our team is here, happy to help you with this. If you want to evaluate this, but conceptually speaking, I hope this really resonates. And then put everything side by side. Cost side, all the cost. Lifetime value or profit side, all the cost. And that's an apples to apples comparison. So the three key takeaways for today. And hopefully everybody sees the full picture now. There's a big gap in the market. Our job is to close that gap between what customers want and what brands offer. You can take actions today. Those are the 5 steps. But the most important step, make sure they were aligned on incentives, particularly the person who runs your logistics budget and the shipping partner that you're choosing. And start measuring return on shipping, because shipping is a value center, not just a cost center. If you are looking to onboard new shipping partners for peak, we're available. You can integrate with us in dozens of ways or directly. Feel free to learn more. Just scan this barcode. I'll bring it back in a second. Oh, and last thing, we are waiving peak surcharges. So this is the right time to sign up for something that is far better than what exists with the legacy carriers. My name is Itamar, the co-founder and CEO. This is how you get a hold of me. I'll personally answer every email you send me. Our sales team is right here. Thanks very much. And we got 3 minutes. If anybody has a question, I'm happy to answer. Yes, sir.
I love the asset-less model, yet I struggle to understand the 67,000 partner drivers you mentioned you have. How do you standardize the service level across such a big base of driver partners? I mean, it's probably a huge challenge.
Thank you for the question. David, right? Yeah. So David is asking, for those of you who are sitting in the back, you may not heard the question. With so many driver partners, 67,000, how can we make sure that the service level remains very high? There's so much variability between different drivers. It's a really fair question. And the answer is, it has nothing to do with the driver. It has everything to do with the technology. Our technology standardizes the entire process of delivering a package. When you show up as a driver, I do it all the time. You show up at the delivery stop. You see pictures of past deliveries. You see where the former driver parked the car. You have an access code that we got directly from the customer. You have a dashboard as a driver, and you see your reliability score. You know, how many times did you not follow instructions, et cetera, et cetera. So there's an incentive for drivers to follow those instructions. Technology plays a huge role. Culture plays a huge role. One of our core 6 values is obsess over experience. When we get a 1-star review, the customer support team jumps on this thing. They're gonna jump through loops to make sure that we solve that customer issue, because every customer matters, every package matters. But the technology and the culture play that system, and the driver who wants to play in that system and earn well, is there to participate in that, really is the thing. And thanks for the question. I know we're right on time, so we're gonna wrap up here. I really appreciate everybody's time today. Thanks very much, and good luck.